I've got just a few more things to wrap up before this cam swap is complete, and then without making any changes to the tune, I'll try to start it to see if it'll even run.
Toys for life.
I'm going to pre-oil my push rods next, but before I do, I'm curious about the difference in weight between a stock push rod and a Brian Tooley Racing .080 wall chrome moly push rod. And now I know, it's 1 gram. I cleaned the new push rods and blew them out with compressed air as well, just in case there's some grit left over from manufacturing. And now I'll submerge them in oil to fill their hollow centers and allow some time for the air to escape. Now let's install the rocker arms. You can't compress a liquid like oil, so as a precaution against damaging the heads, I remove the excess oil with a Q-tip from all of the blind holes that the rocker arm bolts screw into. You don't have to remove all of the oil from the holes, just the vast majority of it. Next, I screw each of the rocker arm bolts in just a few threads to guard against any oil spilling into the holes as I insert the oil-soaked push rods. Then I remove the rocker arm bolts and grab the first pair of rocker arms, which are given a couple of drops of assembly lube on their contact points, and then installed by just tightening their bolts with my hands for now. Now repeat this step for the remaining 6 rocker arms on this head. You will not be able to fully tighten all of the rocker arms at this time. As you snug the bolts up with your fingers, you'll be able to tell which valves are open, usually 2 or 3 of them. All of these are down except for that one and that one, so we can tighten all the others. And we'll skip these for now and continue to snug up all of the valves that are fully closed or very close to fully closed. Once they are snugged down, I torque them to 22 pound-feet. Now using a socket on the alternator pulley, I rotate the engine just enough to close the valves that we skipped because they were open. Now we can tighten those down as well and torque them to 22 pound-feet. Then I give the rocker arm trunnion bearings a little shot of lubrication and install the valve covers. Make sure the gaskets are fully seated as you install the cover, and then tighten the bolts to 106 pound-inches. Next, I repeat this exact process on the driver's side, and once that is done, the coil packs can be installed. I'm going to put the spark plugs in next. I won't show you that because you know how to do it, but do use a little bit of anti-seize because we've got aluminum heads and you don't want them getting stuck. Just a little bit is all it takes. And then secondly, I just want to show you, I use a rubber hose over the end. That helps me get it in, and then when I'm done screwing it in, I can just pull the rubber hose off. Followed by the spark plug wires. Next, I'm going to reattach the steering shaft to the steering rack, and it might take a little wiggling and jiggling, but take your time and it'll usually slide right back on. Make sure you have the coupler inserted to allow for the bolt to pass through the groove in the rack's input shaft. Then absolutely use some Loctite and torque the bolt down using a torque wrench to the GM spec for your particular year C6. Now let's reattach the tie rod ends to the knuckles. I like to clean the ball joint and the hole first, then we need to follow a 3-step process. For my 2006 C6, first the nut is torqued down to exactly 15 pound-feet. Then holding the stud, rotate the nut an additional 160 degrees, and finally check it with a torque wrench set to 32 pound-feet, and it shouldn't move at all before clicking. We lost some power steering fluid while the steering rack was out, but no worries. It was probably a little old anyway, and some fresh fluid will be good for it. A lot of guys skip this step, but I think it's a few minutes that's well worth the time to fill up the oil pump and the oil passages with oil. So I'll be following this simple and inexpensive method as demonstrated by Melling oil pumps.
Remove the oil galley plug on the left lower front corner of the block. Using a 3/8 ID by 2 foot long length of fuel hose, screw it into the threaded hole in the block about 1.5 inches where you remove the plug. Place a funnel over the hose and pour 8 ounces of your engine oil slowly into the funnel. As you can see, I've installed a clear cover on the pump for demonstration purposes so you can see the oil in the pump. Wait about 3 minutes and then unscrew and remove the hose. Replace the gallery plug and tighten.
From up top, you can reach down behind the alternator and remove the oil plug and then insert the rubber hose into the engine block. Then go ahead and pour about 8 ounces of oil into the funnel and hold it there, and it's going to take a few minutes for all of that oil to get down through the nooks and crannies fill up the oil pump and its passages, and inside the oil passages of the block. Once the oil is no longer visible in the bottom of the funnel, give it about 30 seconds for the rest of that oil to drain through the tube, and then quickly remove the hose and reinstall the oil plug. I'm not gonna lie, as you guys have seen, this is a pretty big job, and now that we're this close to firing up the mighty LS2, there is a temptation to start rushing, but resist that temptation and continue to be methodical. I checked the oil and the coolant one last time, and then I checked the belt drive area to make sure there's nothing in the path that could potentially get caught. Then I reconnected the battery, and finally, I removed the device that I used to lock the steering wheel in place. I'm about to fire it up and see if it'll even start and idle, and while I'm doing that, I've got HP Tuner scanner running in the background so I can see what the car's computer is seeing. I'll be watching the oil pressure to make sure it rises immediately upon starting, and I'll keep a close eye on the engine temperature since we drained and refilled the cooling system. And now, the moment of truth. It's got good oil pressure. Doesn't look like the mass airflow sensor is registering, so I think I'm going to shut it off and investigate. The mass airflow sensor plug was connected but not seated quite all the way, so let's try take two. The mass airflow sensor is working now, but as the computer tries to idle down to around the stock 650 RPMs, she is not happy. I could probably drive it to a tuner if I had to, but I'll be tuning this myself, so let's make some quick changes to the tune that should help it idle much better. The new cam is obviously more aggressive than the stock cam due to its increased intake and exhaust duration and a little bit of overlap, so it simply isn't reasonable to ask the new setup to idle at the same low RPM as it did stock. So I opened up HP Tuners and bumped the idle up by 175 RPMs, which should bring it up to around 825 RPMs, and I think that's very reasonable for a cam of this size. I also made some changes to the idle airflow to support the larger cam, and I changed the cranking VE because a larger cam like this loses volumetric efficiency down low. That made a world of difference, and it's idling much better. The fueling is not so far off, but keep in mind that's mainly because the computer is in blended mode and it's relying heavily on the mass airflow sensor right now, and behind the scenes, virtual volumetric efficiency is off by a lot. Let's see how it sounds from outside. That definitely has a little chop to it, and I do like the contrast between how the C6 sounds at idle and how the supercharged C5 sounds. They're very different. Unfortunately for me, it's mid-February here in the Midwest and winter is still here, but it's almost over, and as soon as it is, I'll be putting in the seat time in the C6 to dial in the tune further, especially the virtual volumetric efficiency table. If everything goes as planned, I'll be back at the track in April where I hope to shave a little bit of time off the elapsed time, and more importantly, I hope to pick up several miles per hour in the quarter mile. That's a wrap on the detailed series of videos on how to install a camshaft in a C6 Corvette. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see a couple of videos on how to go about tuning for the new camshaft that I just installed. If there is enough interest, I might have to make a couple of videos on that subject. If you enjoyed this series, please tap that thumbs up below so YouTube knows to share it with the Corvette community. Consider subscribing so you don't miss additional content. And most of all, thanks for watching.